trade segment. So we're going to make some trades. These are players that if you are maybe wanting somebody that's going to take off towards the end of the season, maybe you want to change the luck, maybe these people are hurt, somebody that you can buy low on. Don't really have any buy highs. If somebody's willing to offer you Derrick Henry, go for it. But
Thanks, Bill.
yeah. Hey, 0-6. I got my keeper for the next couple of years in Najee, so I'm fine with that trade. However, these are trades that anyone can make in their league because these players are not unattainable. So we'll just start off with the first one. The first one we on our list is Antonio Gibson of the Washington football team. Joe, what do you think Antonio Gibson's value is?
Antonio Gibson's value is extraordinarily high. The man is talented. He breaks off big runs. He looks awesome. As an Antonio Gibson owner, the shin is very, very terrifying for me, but he seems to be interested in playing through that. I'm not really sure how. The man's a superhuman. But, you know, as an owner and a prospective buyer of Antonio Gibson, I can see where the owner is very leery of his future. So if you could trade some assets to acquire him, hoping that shin heals up, I mean, it's a long season. It's going to get cold, and these teams are going to start relying on their running backs even more. So it's a good time to buy him.
I agree.
I completely agree. I think the thing about a Gibson owner right now is that shin injury, and it looks as of right now, not practicing Wednesday. He might actually be out this week. He might play through it, obviously, but his lack of carries right now might worry owners because his having 20 carries twice and then having 12, 13, 14, 10 carries, obviously that one being the injury. And I think that might worry some people. And I mean, he's not really a pass catching back, so he needs 20 carries. I mean, he's had a couple of good passes like that 70-yarder against Buffalo, but I just feel like people might be a little worried. And with that injury and bye weeks upon us, that guy might also own Zeke or something like that. So this might be the time to buy Gibson right now because of the questionable tag, and especially if he doesn't practice Thursday. So, or even if he does practice, I mean, he's still going to be injured and hampered with that injury. So I love the buy on Gibson. And like Joe said, as an owner, I'm a little worried about that shin injury, but I'm obviously not selling at the moment. But if you can,
I would just say I would try to leverage someone saying, well, McKissick's there. McKissick's getting some work. It's going to be a split share. Maybe we can work something out. If you think about it, the Antonio Gibson owner is probably that's his running back 2. So if he's lost his running back 1 for the year, maybe he drafted CMC or something like that. Probably not going to be able to make that trade because they're probably going to want to hang on to the only guy that they have. But at the same time, if he, if it's somebody they can leverage, you could probably get him pretty easily for Robert Woods, something of that caliber. You can probably offer and be able to get something back. So Antonio Gibson, definitely a good buy in redraft leagues this year. On to number 2, Miles Sanders. Josh.
And I'm going to go ahead and take over on this one. So as a Miles Sanders owner, it is infuriating, and an Eagles fan, it's infuriating just not seeing him get the ball, especially what he's doing with it. So the good thing about this is eventually they're going to learn that they have to run the ball. We've played 4 games in a row now where if we would have ran the ball, we could have possibly won those games, barring Dallas. Dallas destroyed us. I'll give them that. But we got a really easy schedule coming up for Philly, and especially in kind of the playoff game mode. We play the New York Giants twice. We play Washington twice. We play the Jets. We play Detroit and Las Vegas the next 2 weeks. And it only gets easier here. So if you can buy Sanders right now, you're going to get some really valuable wins out of it later, because that Jets game is the week 13. And I know that you're going to need that win right there to get into the playoffs. That might be your last chance. You got the Giants game right before that. You got the Saints before that. Denver, I'm not really ecstatic about. And the Chargers, I'm also not excited about. But as you look at Miles Sanders' stats in PPR, he's literally got 9, 8, 7, 7, barely getting the ball. Imagine if he gets the ball, which is what's going to happen at some point. I don't know when. He's been great, 4.7 yards per carry, and he's broken off some big runs. So imagine that with actual expanded workload. I love the buy low on Miles Sanders right now. I know nobody's excited about Miles Sanders. And I know as a Miles Sanders owner in fantasy, you're thinking, fuck this, Allen Robinson, basically. Like, I don't want him on my team. 9 points isn't going to win me games. The 9 points are going to go up eventually. I don't know when, but they will.
I agree. I think Miles Sanders is a good buy low right now. The play calling is eventually going to have to change if the Eagles plan on winning games. So Miles Sanders would be the natural person to benefit from that change in play calling. So I would try to pitch something to the Miles Sanders owner. I have Miles Sanders in a couple leagues. I've gotten some really low ball offers. It's just, if you're going to trade for him, please try to trade somebody that the other person can use, because they can't really use Miles Sanders right now, but that doesn't mean they want to give him away for nothing.
A Chuba Hubbard or something. Not right now.
I was about to say maybe in a couple weeks.
In a week or two. Yeah. You know what I mean? Throw Chuba at him next week.
But something like that. Just, it's not like a trade 2 bench pieces for 1 bench piece kind of situation. Miles Sanders could eventually take back over and run wild. So maybe make the offers a little bit more enticing than nothing.
I'm 50-50 on this one, boys, because, I mean, Steve Steichen came out and said, is that how you say his name, Josh?
I have no idea.
He came out and Philly's offensive coordinator said we need to get Miles Sanders more involved. He was very effective when he gets the ball. So I think they're going to try to get him the ball. And I just think Hurts, what I thought was going to help his efficiency is actually hurting him, because Hurts is just tucking it. And
those aren't designed run plays, though. They're all broken plays.
Right, but I mean, when he does that, he scrambles. He's not throwing it to Miles Sanders. He's not doing anything to.
Where another quarterback may pitch it to the running back, it's not going to happen with.
That's fair. The pass catching has been lackadaisical for him. I mean, 3-5 catches for minimal yardage isn't ideal, but if you give him 15 carries and then design a couple pass plays where he's available, that's 16 points right there. If he can actually do something with it at the rate he's going, that's what he would be getting.
Yeah, in a perfect world, that's what needs to happen. But I'm leery because I don't think that's happening.
I'm not saying sell your team for him. I think that this is a very low buy right now. I think you can pretty much pitch a Damian Harris at a Miles Sanders right now. I'm not giving you perfect examples, but you could probably throw a wide receiver at Miles Sanders, because most likely they figured out the fill in for Miles Sanders at the moment.
Yeah,
because
that's true. Okay, on to the next one. I'll take this one. It's Chase Edmonds of the Cardinals. I think this week is the actual perfect week to buy Chase Edmonds. So he's coming off of a week where he only had 7 touches and a blowout, but that's exactly why he only had 7 touches, because it was a blowout. So they just let James Conner have all of the rushes. You're not going to get that kind of value again, because their schedule is about to get really tough after they play Houston. Houston, they're going to beat Houston pretty easily this week. And then after that, they go Packers, 49ers, Panthers, Seahawks, and then Joe's Bears. So if you think about it, Chase Edmonds will probably be used a lot coming up. The share will go up. He doesn't always lead the team in rushes, but he doesn't always need it. He needs volume in the pass game and in the rushing game. And when Kyler Murray needs to dump a pass off, it's not to Rondale Moore, as I thought it would be. It's been to Chase Edmonds a lot more than Rondale Moore. So I think this would be the week to buy Chase Edmonds. Just feel it out. See if the guy's girl is a little weary on the Chase Edmonds front, and I would make an offer this week.
Yeah, I absolutely love Chase Edmonds right now, because the 10 carries a game for the first 4 weeks and then the 5+ catches a game with 40, 50 yards, any of those could be broken for a touchdown. That man is he's fast, he's nimble. And obviously, Cleveland last week was a blowout, so he didn't have the chance. And then San Francisco wasn't really that competitive either. So he had a couple bad weeks. People are like, oh, shit, James Conner's actually good. And it's like, no, he's not. James Conner's getting the ball because he's an actual running back. Chase Edmonds is basically a wide receiver who can run the ball.
I like the Chase Edmonds buy. I mean, he's been banged up. You're starting to see James Conner be more involved. The only thing that makes me nervous about this is it's kind of turned into a Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, Josh Allen situation where Josh Allen's going to rush the ball. Kyler Murray is going to rush the ball. I mean, Zach Moss is their short yardage guy and does all that. I mean, Chase Edmonds, in my eyes, is your 20-20 guy. He's not getting a ton in the red zone. That could be because of the injury, but I think they're starting to see the value of James Conner. So I'd be leery of it, but he's pretty cheap right now, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Well, it's the Cam Newton situation where Kyler Murray might run it in from 1 yard out. He might pass it from 1 yard out because he's got
Right.
all of those tall targets in the end zone. So you're just going to have to kind of be weary of that. I mean, it's kind of like who is it? D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, that kind of thing.
Oh, that nightmare.
Yeah,
That
back
was
in
a great
those
nightmare.
days. Obviously, these guys aren't as talented as those two were back in those days, but it's kind of that same situation where the quarterback may be stealing the touchdowns, but the yards will still be there.
Well, the good thing about Chase Edmonds is you're getting those 15 points pretty much automatically. You can almost book those in, competitive games. And then there's always that chance for that 30-point game, which he hasn't had yet. So therefore that owner hasn't seen that yet. So they're not like, oh no, he scored 30 points in week 2, so I'm not trading him.
Yeah, you could probably offer a mid-level wide receiver, or maybe even try to get a different running back like a Cordell Patterson.
I actually
Something
just
like
traded
that.
Damian Harris for him, which is
Damian
perfectly
Harris.
fine
That's
for me.
kind of a perfect, like Damian Harris, Cordell Patterson, one of those kind of guys. Just pitch that to them, and that should be about the same value. Okay, moving on to David Montgomery. Joe, I'm going to let you handle the David Montgomery situation.
I love the buy low on David Montgomery. He's shown what he can do when he's in there. Laser is clearly trying to run the ball. I mean, we were running the ball down two scores last game with Khalil Herbert and everything. The only thing that makes me nervous about David Montgomery is Khalil Herbert looks really good. I mean, he's short. He's like 5'10". I think he's 205. So he's kind of a Maurice Jones-Drew type guy. So he's going to be used. I don't think Khalil Herbert is just going to go away. But David Montgomery should step back into his role, seeing 75% of the snaps there. He's a much more proven pass catcher at this point in his career. You can't tackle the man. I mean, he gets most of his stuff after contact. So I like David Montgomery. I think he is a good buy low. You're probably getting him for next to nothing at this point because he's been injured for long enough. I mean,
Maybe.
he put up the big games at the beginning of the year, but like we said, I mean, if you have a Chubb owner, if you have, all the guys on buys this week, this is a good time to try to grab David Montgomery if you're set at running back. Not saying trade those guys for him, but trade some pieces that could land you David Montgomery.
Yeah, I think this is actually a tough buy. Like, as a Montgomery owner, I don't want to sell him. But I also, you're a Bears fan, so naturally I have a nice little chubba for Montgomery. But he's potentially slated to come back week 8. So I mean, it's you gotta buy him now if you're buying him, and you gotta recency bias is your friend here because Khalil Herbert's looked great, and even Damian Harris in his stead looked pretty good. So that's your bet right now, is that everyone sees Herbert and they're like, oh shit, Herbert's the guy now, and like they just assume Montgomery's washed after that. And Montgomery's obviously stepping back in, and it's his job to lose. So it's not like they're not going to sit him. So that's the one good thing you got for him, is the recency bias that running backs are standing in for him really well. But Montgomery's a dude, and I absolutely would love to buy him. I just think the price is a little higher than some of these other guys we've talked about.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're going to have to leverage a pretty high wide receiver 2, potentially even like a low wide receiver 1 to get it. And that's the kind of gamble that you're going to have to take. If you don't have a running back, that might be a gamble you have to take. Maybe you get Montgomery and some other piece that you could potentially use that might, like a Kadarius Toney, possibly something that's maybe not right at the correct value currently that you could package. But yeah, the David Montgomery buy is going to be tough to do right now, but I think you could pull it off if you had the right pieces. Okay. Move on to Darren Waller.
Speaking of difficult to pull off, this one will
be tricky.
Damn near impossible. But if you have a guy who's performing pre-Knox hand injury, probably want someone better than that at that point. Maybe Hawkinson. Go with he's been doing kind of okay, but had a good week last week. Basically what you want to do here is you want to give them a good tight end and someone else usable here, because they drafted Waller most likely in the 2nd or 3rd round at this point, and you need to give them value for that, because people always think about where they drafted the guy, and they can't give up a 3rd round pick because blah, blah, blah. So this one's going to be a little bit more tricky, but the recent slide as of late after his 7-19 target week 1, those 5 catches and 4 catches the last 5 games, yeah, they're consistent, but you can get consistency from anywhere. I mean, you could have drafted Mark Andrews and been in a better spot right now. So, not saying trade Mark Andrews for him, but I would. I mean,
yeah, I agree completely.
This is the perfect week to do it because your Eagles suck at guarding the tight end.
Oh, you don't know? Was Singleton going to guard him? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm looking up kind of the point totals. The people that you would have to trade to get him are potentially Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki.
Nobody's trading Waller for Gesicki.
No, I'm
I'd
not
trade Darrell
not straight
Henderson
up.
for
Not straight up.
Darren Waller right now.
Darrell Henderson that would bite some people right there. People would bite on that. They go, "Oh,
Yeah.
Darrell Henderson, he's been consistent as
No,
shit
I'm just
too, but
saying
he's a running back."
these are tight ends that you would have to package with another piece. I think if you had Kyle Pitts, Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant, something like that, with another piece.
No, Noah Fant maybe, but like the other two, nobody actually believes in. I mean, you might be able to bite on Pitts'
Maybe.
name
How do you know?
alone. Nobody likes Gesicki. Nobody trusts Gesicki.
I don't trust Gesicki, and I own him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get
I
it.
absolutely
He's
trust
done
him.
well.
It's
He's
just
done
the
good the
points.
last 2 weeks. I get it. People look at that, but especially on Yahoo because that's what pops up in the trade screen. But
I'm just saying Darren Waller's going to be a hard one to pull off.
it's hard, but I think this is the
you
time
could
to buy him.
Maybe like a Terry McLaurin, you could probably
Be a good swap.
go something like that. It's going to be a tough trade to pull off if you really need a tight end that bad. I would leverage the Logan Thomas owner, maybe go after that and see.
That's not a bad one either. Yeah.
But like, if you really want to try to go for the tippy top Waller, then
I just figured
you have
if
to
there's
give
a
up
time
something.
to buy Waller, it's right now with those 10
it
points, 11 points.
definitely is. It definitely is. Okay, on the next one, which I'll take, it's Amari Cooper. I personally think it'll be a little tough to trade. He's currently a wide receiver too. So I would have to wonder what you're willing to give up to get it, because I think the price is going to be a little much for me, because I think you're going to have to give up a running back, but it couldn't be a good one because you probably still need that. And Amari Cooper's value is so hit or miss week to week because CeeDee Lamb might go off this week. Dalton Schultz might go off this week. Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard might have their running game going this week. You just never really know who is going to be the guy. Like, he's still going to eat, still going to get his, but it might not be what you want. But he's still a wide receiver too, so I think that trade will be a little tough to pull off.
Yeah, I agree. I think the problem with this is everyone that owns Cooper knows that he can do those 40, 30-point weeks, so that kind of what we were talking about earlier is, oh, well, he's due for a big one and that kind of shit. But those two, they forget about those 2 5s that he put up and that they probably lost. So
yeah.
Cooper's should be valuable, and you could buy him, especially with him being on bye this week. But at the same time, people are going to be kind of nitpicky with this, but you should be able to throw something at it because most likely Amari Cooper owners aren't doing so well right now.
Yeah, probably.
I think the question: do you want Amari Cooper on your team?
I mean,
it depends on what you're trading.
I mean, Dallas is clearly trying to go to a run-first team. I mean, they're scheming these defenses really well, but they're trying to go back to a run-first identity. Then you have Schultz and Jarwin and Lamb and Cedric Wilson and Amari Cooper. I mean, I think the days of Dak throwing 50 times a game are over for the most part. So, I mean, you'll get your weeks like we saw against Tampa Bay with a tough defense, but I just think it'd be hard to trust.
I just like the upcoming schedule that they have. It's one of my big things is Minnesota, Denver, Atlanta, KC, Las Vegas, New Orleans, if they ever become competitive. I just feel like there's some games there that are actually going to be high scoring games that they're going to need to use Cooper in. Obviously CeeDee Lamb's going to get his, Zeke's going to get his. I think Dalton Schultz is going to fade a little bit. I think everyone thinks that he's the next coming of Christ, but I think he's going to fade a bit because even Jarwin's involved. So yeah, there's a lot of mouths to feed there, but Amari Cooper's still one deep strike away from getting you 30 points. Yeah. So
Dalton Schultz is currently the tight end 3 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
As wild as that is.
I don't think that stays, unfortunately.
Tight end position sucks.
It's weird. It's weird this year, man. But poor Dawson Knox, man. He finally, after 4 years or however many years he's been in the league, finally has a good year and he breaks his hand.
Yep. Threw a touchdown, too. It's pretty impressive.
With a broken hand. That is more impressive than some quarterbacks.
All right. Well, let's move on to what I think will be a tough one to do right now, but Robert Woods. Joe, do you want to take Robert?
I think the window on Robert Woods closed 2 weeks ago when people were reminded of what he's capable of. I mean, the Breakfast Club seriously is, and I'm referring to Kupp and Stafford, are the ones to have the connection there. But Woods is clearly working his way in. You saw what you can do, and I think the Rams are going to continue to have to. I mean, they're just going to throw the ball. It's too easy for them. They don't have to, but if Kupp's got 10, 15 yards of separation every time and Woods has 10 on the other side, they're going to keep throwing. So I think it's going to be tough to buy him right now. If you can, it's definitely a depressed value right now.
Well, see, I'd put Kupp on this list, but nobody would sell Kupp in their right mind right now.
Nobody
unless
would
they're
sell Kupp.
there's.
I would not sell a piece of this offense, if I can be completely honest with you. The Rams are such like a high-powered, you never know who, and maybe all could go off in a week. I would not be selling any piece of this.
I would sell Henderson. That's the only person because I could see. I know it's funny because I preached Henderson during the offseason, but I would sell Henderson because obviously not these next 2 weeks, but in the future. He's going to play some tough defenses, and they're not going to be able to get him on the ground. Like Detroit and Houston, he's going to have 2 great weeks coming up, which is phenomenal for him. But I figured Woods would be a good buy because he's had 1 elite game so far, and then
True.
High of 60 yards in the other games.
The game plan going into that game was clearly let's feed Robert Woods. It was they only threw to him. It did not make sense whether he was open or not. They were going to throw him the ball.
They even
clearly
said
that was the game plan.
Which honestly, I wish that because the Eagles say that shit about we're going to feed Miles Sanders, and then they don't. But they legitimately said we need to get Woods the ball more, and then they gave Woods the ball.
Yeah, like 16 targets or something like that. It was outrageous.
Yeah.
Okay, on to Kadarius Toney, which all 3 of us I think this is a good buy. Okay, well, just me and Joe apparently. I think Kadarius Toney could be one of those sneaky good rookie breakouts. I don't think it matters if Galladay's there. I don't think it matters if Shepard's there. Don't think it matters if Barkley's there. Don't matter if Evan Ingram's there. It doesn't matter who's there. I think they're going to now that they've seen what Toney's capable of in 1 game. I think it's going to be tough for them to say, let's not, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's out, and now everybody sees what can happen. And I think they're going to have to use that. They're going to have to use that going forward.
My problem with this isn't because of Kadarius Toney's talent. We obviously saw that on full display. I love Kadarius Toney. I think he's going to be great for the future. I just think that ankle injury they're saying is very serious is going to nag at him probably until the bye at this point. So, I mean, yes, this could win you games in the future, but everyone else saw that 30-point game, and people aren't going to sell him for cheap, which is what he's worth for the next 4 weeks, basically, probably being out. I mean, he might pop back.
Anybody who's not willing to sell him off that is just not a good trader. That is a sell high.
I agree. I'm talking about people that I deal with in trades. Like, this is the people that are in your fantasy football league.
You've met somebody that's willing to not trade Kadarius Toney based off of 1 game?
Probably. Yes, I've dealt with traders. I've dealt with fantasy football players. This is what people do. Yeah, I agree.
That is wild to me. I don't think for everyone out there, I don't think that is going to happen.
I agree that it's a good idea, but I have a feeling that what he's worth, you're either going to overpay or the person's going to try to offer you something ridiculous for him. That's my problem with Kadarius Toney. I don't have any problem trading for him. I want him on my team personally.
Okay.
He's a good one for the end of the season. I think
absolutely.
You could get him, especially with this report coming out that the ankle injury is more serious. As a person who's had plenty of ankle injuries, they heal fairly quickly. Plus, you can tape the absolute crap out of them. He looks awesome. You're right. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's out, and he's going to have a role no matter what. So
he probably should have had one since the beginning of the season. That's why you draft him in the first fucking round. But
it's the Giants, man.
Okay,
let's not get into that.
Can we just talk about how Slayton was starting over him and hasn't done a damn thing and has almost been healthy the whole year?
Just because Shepard was ahead of him, they weren't playing him.
Shepard and
looks
Slayton. Great.
I know, but play them both.
Yeah.
Why not put your best players on the field? Put your best players on the field. Like, seriously, Joe Judge, dum-dum. Put your best players on the field. Stupid.
Agreed.
Okay, our last one, and I completely agree with this one. Javonte Williams, Josh. Why would you want to buy Javonte Williams?
Him. He looks so great. So yes, he's put up 9 points in pretty much every game. I mean, probably an average of 9.5 at this point, maybe less. But I just absolutely love this man. He has only his max touches, I think, is 15 so far in a game, and he's gotten 9 points every time. Yes, he only has 1 touchdown, and that's unfortunate. But the second that they just go, you know what, we're going to give Javonte 3 more carries, that's when he scores 20 points immediately. And honestly, I've been waiting for this breakout week for a long time, but I love everything about this. And with running backs getting injured, older people, and with the weather getting cold and being in Denver, there's going to be a game where Melvin Gordon and Javonte have 20 carries. And if there's a snowy game in Denver or a snowy game anywhere that Denver's playing, put them in. Also, they play the Eagles in 4 weeks. So just fun fact.
Play the Browns this week. Javonte will be good for that.
Yeah, I'm debating on starting him in a couple leagues. I'm definitely going to start him in at least one, just in case I missed.
We'll get to it in the game previews, but you should start him, not Melvin. But
here at Offensive Points, we have been all over Javonte since April. It's kind of been we've been banging the table for this dude. This is the type of move that will win you your league, to acquire someone like this, because if Gordon gets hurt, the sky's the limit, or once they switch to him permanently, the sky's the limit right there. So this is someone for relatively cheap you keep on the back of your bench right now, and then playoff time comes, he hits right. It's the ultimate lottery ticket. So this is my favorite one on the list.
Absolutely. I honestly think it is mine too as well.
I agree.
Just because I know it's going to pay off. And I know looking at these stats right now, you look at it and you go, what are they talking about? His best in PPR is 12 right now. And then all of a sudden in like 6 weeks, you're going to be like, holy shit, why didn't I listen to them?
My question to those people is, do you watch football? Have you seen this guy run the football?
He looks so good. Well, honestly, he's not on a lot of primetime games. He's been on 3:00 games. So honestly, this might be the time to buy him right now before that Thursday night game, because they're going to see him. They're going to go, oh, even if he doesn't score, 20 fancy points, they're going to see him. They go, man, he looks good. And those 3:00 games probably aren't televised in your area all the time, or you probably chose a different one, to watch. So I'm just saying this might be the perfect time to buy him. His first primetime game's coming up here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this guy can do.
Okay. I have 2 more just to tack on to the end. Not really much analysis needed. I'm just curious. Michael Pittman Jr. for Indianapolis. Are we buying it? Do we think that this is sustainable? Would you go after him?
Honestly, I thought I was in a couple of the trades that I was offering this last week. I thought about putting Pittman in a couple of them, and I'm not buying it. Pascal still has a role there. He's even Wentz is getting Mo Alley Cox involved. He's obviously throwing to the running backs, and T.Y. Hilton's back. I mean, yeah, he's injured again or whatever, might not play or still nursing that injury. But I wouldn't buy him for much. You know what I mean? I might throw him as a kicker onto a trade.
Joe, what do you think?
I like him. I think Pittman, he looks really good. Wentz seems to trust him. He seems to be open a lot of the time. I think they're having some weird stuff going on with Hilton attempting to make a comeback here, but I think Pittman really did solidify himself as the one, and he's going to keep getting more as it goes on. So I don't think it doesn't move the needle a lot for me to acquire Pittman, but if you're in a dynasty or keeper situation, Pittman would be a good buy right now.
Okay. And then 2 quick running backs, Clyde, Edwards, Elaire, and Chris Carson. Either of those guys potentially late season, make something happen. Would you try to acquire either?
If you can get Carson, I wouldn't be against it. I don't really know what's going on with his injury right now. I've actually been very confused by the whole injury situation with Seattle, because Alex Collins got that hip thing. I don't know what's Carson got. See, exactly. I don't even know. I'm not sure. Carson's a good.
Oh, it's his neck.
Okay, so yeah, so I knew it was a sketchy thing. The good thing about Carson is he is always good for 10 to 15 points. So if you're looking for like that consistency, that's great. He did have a couple better weeks than that, but Edwards Elaire, I'm not touching. At all.
Okay, Joe,
I'm really worried about Carson with that neck thing. Just to add on there, really worried. I think this could be a season ender, honestly. But
and he's going to be 28 next year. I don't want to put anybody in the grave, but that's fine.
No, but dude, neck injuries are no
neck
joke.
Injuries are nothing to fuck with, especially in a running back. So.
Yeah.
Best wishes to him, and that's enough of the trading.